I gotta wait. There's like a buffering thing going on here.
Buffer.
Buffer.
Yeah. Good buffer.
Ooh, look at that. 6 viewers, 1 likes. Go ahead and smash more of them likes. If there's 6 of you, they should see 6 likes. This helps the algorithm-driven life that we have.
Yes, please.
Yes. We are all at its mercy.
We are all at its mercy. 100% at its mercy.
Yes. Sniff the packets.
Sniff packets, not drugs.
Keep the crimp hand strong. So we got our stickers out.
Always.
You know what I'm saying? Stay crimping.
Stay crimping. 2 likes, but 12 people. Come on.
There we go. Let's get
catching up here.
All right. I like it.
So this is How They Got Hacked, episode 21. I am Tom Lawrence.
Xavier D. Johnson.
Maurice Nash.
Yes, and we were just, it's one of those things, we start reviewing the show notes, and right away, this whole Capital One thing, it's a mess. I did a debrief video on it, but there's still more.
Are you a Capital One customer?
Who's in your wallet?
Sheesh. Are you a Capital One customer?
No, sir.
Lucky.
I am not. Are you?
I'm actually a Capital One customer.
Yeah.
I mean, but let's be honest. All of my details have been breached 100 times prior to this. So she didn't have any novel information on me.
Do we give anyone, does it matter anymore? Like, between Equifax, like, they just blanketed all of us.
I have LifeLock. So, I think I got like up to $1 million of protection. Like, of course it'll suck in the interim, but, it's never really happening to me. And in today's society, when everybody's just getting breached and their data's just getting leaked, the credit card companies and the banks are more and more lenient. They're just like, yo, I'm sorry this happened to you.
Yeah. It'll happen again tomorrow because we don't really plan to fix that security hole that, I don't know, how long you've been aware of properly configuring things in your WAF there?
I mean, like, since WAFs were...
Since WAFs were a thing.
Since WAFs were a thing.
So there's a lot of... Let's pull up the article because we'll jump right into the discussion on this particular topic because this is kind of a mess. And make sure I got the right one. So, the technical side of the Capital One AWS. What happened? Capital One had about 700 different S3 buckets that Paige Thompson copied and downloaded. They downloaded this by enumerating their bucket list. And how did they get in, Xavier?
By using the access key generated by instance metadata that is on a PIPA, I think that's how you say that.
Okay.
It's basically a 169, I believe, IP address. Yeah, and that's basically what happens is they go to this private IP address, they get a key from a certain endpoint, and that key is then used to be able to make other calls that instance actually has permission to make. Now, one thing you should think about is that these keys are temporary keys. So if someone's hitting your web application and have found a way to be able to grab this instance metadata from your web server, that key may only be allowed to do things for about 15 minutes before they have to go in and go get another one. So this is an activity that should be logged over and over and over again. And you should have some bells going off. But not only that, you should have your instances configured in a way in which this is not possible, right? So this is something that had already been previously discovered and I'd already talked about. I'm looking for the exact year in which...
And this is something Xavier has done for companies when he's doing these audits under AWS, is he's raised the red flag going, hey, this is why you have audits, because your dev team may not understand that technical detail. They're really busy with developing the product. So you need people like Xavier to come in and do an audit and go, hey, this is misconfigured. You should have logging here, and you should have this closed. And apparently no one at Capital One, they're working on the product of Capital One and being able to access data properly. And this minor little instance, and this is why security is so hard, you have to be right all the time. Not some of the time, not on Tuesday, not on Friday. You have to be right 100% of the time on all aspects, because that's all it took was that little edge.
And let's talk about this. Let's be very clear. This isn't the first time that an AWS misconfiguration has been the reason or the cause of a breach, right? Also, let's really dig down deep. I'm looking at an article right here from 2017 where this is acknowledged, and
Yeah.
I remember it from about that long ago, in which this instance metadata has been there since forever, right? So we're talking about server-side request forgery, which is some of the funnest stuff, and this is probably like the biggest fruit that you could get from an SSRF. Having an access key that allows you to be able to go and do things. That could mean read the database.
Yep.
Right? And now when you're using that key, the name that's associated with that key, the actual persona that's associated with that key, is an instance that should be doing that at any given time, right? So when you're a SOC engineer and you're seeing a key be used, and you're like, oh, it's just being used in a way in which it's always being used, you have to increase the logging and say, okay, where's that IP address being used from, right? Or, where's that key being used from, what IP address, right? There's different ways for you to be able to make sure and ensure, like we were just talking about, locking things down to specific net blocks and subnets. It's just, these are some of the things that will help you not be in the news, even if you have a misconfiguration like this, where someone's able to actually get the key and try and use it, but everything upstream that they're trying to use is not allowing them because they're not actually using that server to make that request.
And I've seen people going, oh, this is why the cloud is bad. And I'm like, that is a horrible answer, because you're just saying who can secure it better. And don't worry, on-premise people are not faring much better than AWS. The problem comes down to people understanding how to use the product, people taking the time to secure the product. Whether that product is on this side of the firewall and inside my building, or on the other side of the firewall and on another side of hopefully another properly configured firewall inside of an AWS center, it really doesn't matter. It's not that the cloud is ever the problem. Misconfiguration is the problem.
And you know what? In AWS's defense, I know I'm an AWS fanboy, but I'm very cloud agnostic. I have spent a lot of time reading their documentation. That is why I'm at an expert level when it comes to some of these issues. When you look at the amount of data that they've given out to people, like, hey, read this white paper. This white paper will literally tell you exactly how our data centers operate. This will tell you the best way to use S3, the best way to use EC2, the best way to secure your workload. They literally have lift and shift documentation where they have worked with some of the world's largest companies to close down their data centers and get those enterprise applications into the cloud. So we're talking about people who are a wealth of information. They're running conferences. They give out all of this information. They have jams. This is what's right about the cloud. They are very open, transparent, and willing to teach you to be able to do these things right. They have a plethora of white papers that will allow you to be able to know the perfect way to deploy. And the reason why they consider it the perfect way is because it is the way in which they deploy. It is the way in which they have architected their infrastructure. You got to think Amazon is using AWS.
And this is a really important thing to think about. Is I hate just generically saying RTFM, but this is a big case of that. This is like, hey, I'm not trying to be dismissive of someone. If you are in charge of securing Capital One, for example, you should take the time or hire an engineer who takes the time to really dive in deep and read these white papers, read these and understand this. This is an important aspect. There's no shortcut to some of the things that even I do. I just spent I got some big projects I do for network engineering. I tend a lot of time reading to understand how to do these before I make the video. There's a reason I have knowledge of these tools. I've spent a lot of time testing them. It's building it up. It's so
interesting seeing Tom's methodology behind doing his videos. Now that we've gotten more on a sync, he has stuff that's going to come out in the next 6 weeks that I know about right now. That he's been tinkering with for the last 6 weeks. So he's putting in an immense amount of time.
Yeah, you build it and tear it down. It's all I've been talking about, like the series of XCPNG, the virtualization, the virtual labs videos I'm working on. I have dove in depth right down to how to do hard drive pass-throughs. We're actually going to be the last piece of it is actually we're going to get some of those Tesla cards.
There you go.
And as you know, I'm a Tesla fan. Yeah. It turns out you can buy some of the cheaper, not too powerful, but at least enough for the demos. I can get Tesla cards on eBay for around $100. Okay. So it's going to be part of the demo. And they're not your high-speed cracking ones, which is why they're $100. But it's going to be those things. Like when I go through and do videos, I've done it like 3 or 4 times before I do a video on it at least. I've built it, tore it down, started over, redid it again. That's actually my secret to how I don't edit as much. You don't have to edit as much if you don't your way through it because you've done it so many times. It's like repetition. So Yeah, because I do this day in and day out, at any given time, I learned more about phone systems in the last 2 weeks. I have like 9 billable hours fixing phone systems, and on my side of it. So there's going to be another rant video about the disaster that is XO Communications and Verizon, and what I learned about phone systems. So it's a mess.
Sheesh. And I thought Verizon was to be trusted. I guess not.
It's good news is it's secure because you can't get them to do anything. So good luck hacking them. You've been on the phone
It's a denial
2
of
hours.
service.
Yeah, so even the port process was a disaster. We actually ended up it was faster to port numbers away from Verizon than it was to get them to update a ticket. That's how bad it is. So there'll be a little bit of a rant video, but it's also kind of a warning.
Ooh, I'm sick. That's how it's lit.
Also, I'll be talking about porting because I don't know if you guys have ever.
I have.
Yeah.
I've ported a number before. It's
So-
a pain.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, it's a
So-
pain, but it turns out it may be a little bit easier than you think to get verified on that. I kind of realized that how easy it was to be someone because I did it on behalf of someone, and that was it's an interesting aspect of porting I didn't really think about, but it's
That's
so-
how people get SIM swapped.
Well,
That's how people's Bitcoin wallets.
I ported
and-
28 phone numbers for someone on their behalf with their permission, but I could have not had their permission and still done it. That's how
I mean,
easy.
I might
port-
call in later and be like, "No, I didn't tell him to do that. I don't know what this is. Can you route it to my
There's no
my
ver-
data center?
my-
It's
one of
chaos.
my-
It's chaos."
So one of my chaotic things is they didn't call my clients at all to take away 28 phone numbers from a commercial. 28 phone numbers is a company with that many DIDs.
This is how they got hacked.
Yeah, this is good because it's locked down. But wow,
Wow.
they were able to. It took 5 days to get it. I did the whole process. I asked the client's permission because they requested I do it, so I have everything in writing from the client that I'm supposed to be doing it. The lack of calls and verification of my client, I got to confirm before I
This
put
could
a
have been
video.
the IRS number.
Yeah.
You could be posing as the IRS.
Ooh, boy, that would be interesting. I don't want that number. I think they get a lot of hate mail.
I bet.
But that's going to be an interesting. What I have to do is I have to talk. There's so many people at the company. I know at least one person said he didn't get a call, and he thought he would have. So I'm going to follow up with to make sure that they have a secretary answer the phone. I'm going to do my due diligence and make sure no one got any calls at this company before I ported 28 phone numbers away. That's an interesting concept to me. Because it's not like one number, SIM swap. It was somebody
Right.
called T-Mobile.
It's a block of numbers. It's a call center worth of numbers.
It's a call center worth of numbers.
Yeah. It could be wallside.
And these numbers are...
This is gold.
This company handles some money. So
this is gold.
yeah.
The IDs are like very, very sensitive when it comes to, companies. People pay big dollars for numbers. Mm-hmm. Big dollars.
Oh, and this number's on signs all
See?
over the place.
See?
Like,
I mean, just
Yeah.
think about now. I mean, if you get a block of numbers,
You could talk to Sam. I'm Sam.
yeah.
I need a deposit to talk to
you can
you.
go 2FA crazy.
You could go MFA crazy.
Oh, awesome. I see a VPL. Well, sorry, it was talk about Wednesday night DC 3-3.
Woo!
We'll get to that.
It was amazing.
It was good. Well, we can get to it right now. Because I don't think configure your AWS right. Hire this guy to configure your AWS right.
Or to
Or
show
audit
you
it.
that it's broken.
Yeah, to show you that it's broken. This is completely head over to Detroit Cybersecurity. You got a link you can drop?
Oh yeah, I got a link I
Yeah.
can drop from
Well,
there.
make sure-
Enterprise Offensive Security.
Enterprise Office Security. So, yeah, there's ways to get a hold of us. Drop messages. We'll make sure we get a hold of you. Me and Xavier did that video last week about that's been published since then. The how to do a web application review.
Yep.
What the report looks like. So,
And if you watch that I guess we would call it an episode, that video, there's a link there that will actually allow you to go download the sample report. I just need a small bit of information so I could email you the report. There's a lot of people who've put in fake emails, and my reputation score has gone down immensely. My Cinder score is really bad, but yeah. If you want to check out what an actual report looks like from at least just a web application penetration test, check it out.
yeah,
It's
we have a whole
interesting.
video on it that walks you through everything, so you get an idea with that. But these are real things, and you can, he's for hire. And anyways, back to DC 313. We did a presentation there.
Yes.
I had to stand. There was a lot of people there.
Yeah, you know what? So this is what I have to say immediately, right? All of my bros came at the same time, plus entirely the same size group of new people.
Yeah. There was a lot of people there.
There was it was a core group of people. I mean, like a good 10 to 15 people that were just bros, and then another 10 to 15 people that showed up that were just like random.
And we had a car hacker in the front row.
And it was amazing. And we played with key fobs. And shout out to InfoSec Ali. He did a damn good job.
Yes.
Great
Great
Went
presentation.
from top to bottom. I learned stuff from Ali in that talk. I don't think people realize. Yeah.
Look, security is a team sport. It is. It's like we're not on different sides. So the presentation I went through, and even if someone's familiar, it's still good refresher. And other parts are going, hey, that's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at that.
And people had never seen a server hacked before. Actually got to see a server hacked using an NSA exploit.
Yep.
So like that's at the epitome of what hacking looks
Yes.
like. The NSA did it.
Yeah. So no, it's definitely.
So we got to see Dave. Shout out to you, Dave. Keep coming, please. It was amazing.
No, so definitely awesome. If you can make it to Detroit, and we're doing stuff. We're trying to hold more events, but yeah, I see someone say they wish it wasn't a couple hours away. Geography's a problem, so
Yeah, it happens.
it happens. We're happy. We're starting to see a little bit more traction here in Detroit area because it's tough getting everyone together. But yeah, definitely
Yes.
exciting stuff.
It is difficult. I'm working with 2 different conferences right now. One called dev1.us, and they're like a DevOps conference, and they have some security talks that they're going to be having, and it's later on this year, middle of November. So go check out Dev1 on Google. And then me and Steve Marsh are talking about potentially trying to do more security-based conference stuff. Detroit Beats is a conference company, so I'm hoping that Detroit starts to get more and more light shown on it, because we have 2 airports that are both international. We have an international waterway. We have every branch of the government. And we have a lot of trains that go over bridges and under tunnels and throughout. So, like, we have radio everywhere. There's so much stuff to see here. We have a green light program. There's so much stuff to poke at. It's almost like, San Francisco in 2004 through 2008. Like, it's like a plethora of things out there. So it's enjoyable as a hacker.
Yeah, there's plenty to poke at. I mean, come on, we're still the Motor City, and the cars, trust me,
they're open.
We had a car hacker front row, and he'll tell you, there's a lot you guys can do. Look, I'm one
Shout
guy.
out to Justin.
Shout out to Justin. He's finding a lot of stuff already, but there's still more out there. Because it's actually
we're gonna have some fun in DEF CON. So if
not enough people are going to be poking at stuff.
There is not enough people poking at this stuff at all.
So there's plenty of bug bounties to be collected. There's plenty of new things to find. They're going to have the whole car hacking village at DEF CON. So
please come by, because Justin runs.
runs it.
Yeah, he runs it. So like,
and they got some fancy cars there.
That you get to do stuff too.
Get to do stuff too. It's going to be fun.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. It's an interactive thing. They've got they're going to have like all the different infotainment systems, even for the other stuff. So they're going to have like there's lots of like they've got this. I want to say he's going to take some pictures of it, even though you're not supposed to, as I don't have a chance to go this year. But there's going to be a lot.
And we're still trying to send Mo, so send us money for Mo.
Yeah, someone just wants to buy Mo a ticket.
Almost. Or we can get Xavier to do a
pin test
or a live interview from DEF CON.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we're
working on some live content from DEF CON regardless.
Speaking of waterways, I got to laugh though.
Go for it.
Did you see what someone did? This was really funny. Some guy showed up with a bunch of girls drunk on the waterway and thought he could get away from the police in the water. He just said like the waterway, and he thought he could like go over there, and the sheriff surrounded him. This was just in the news the other day.
No.
Yeah, he showed up on the water on a restaurant. I just laughed because the Detroit River is like 3 miles from my office, and you can be on a boat and chilling in the river, and there's restaurants right on the river. Mm-hmm. This guy shows up drunk, and it's one of those one-off things. I was laughing my ass off because they said you're too drunk, we won't serve you, and a bunch of girls in bikinis, like this one old dude, and all these girls they said were less than half his age, and then he gets back on his boat and gives the double middle fingers to the cops when they showed up. You can't get me, and starts pulling away in the dock. Cops like on the radio, water sheriff. Yeah. They came and surrounded and took him.
Right off the boat.
Right off the boat. They're like, he's like, oh yeah, I forgot. We got boat police.
Sheesh. And they will come very quick.
They will come quick.
Trust me.
They waiting on it.
They're waiting on it.
They will come.
I just laugh when you said that. There's
a lot.
There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah. And there's a lot of revitalization, so there's new stuff happening.
New stuff. Yeah. New security problems.
A lot of breweries. A lot of ICS. cell towers without streetlights. Like it's an interesting.
Yeah, the
place.
Project Greenlight's going to be interesting because that's all over the place, and I know how the camera systems work that are supposed to be for part of DHS stuff. That's kind of interesting. Right there by where some of the docks are.
There you go.
That's a whole other realm of security over there.
Completely
That's
different network.
Yeah.
And then you got the municipal area network, right? And then you have the free Wi-Fi that Dan Gilbert blasts.
Yep, you
And
got
then
the free
have
Wi-Fi.
free Wi-Fi on the train.
The Wi-Fi on the train, that whole system is kind of interesting, and you can do some digging and find out about it. There's a couple of videos where they kind of talk about all the hardware they use because the hardware company supplied it, bragged about it, which, first thing, you assess the target.
Oh, yeah, they haven't patched it out.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
Allegedly, it might be patched. I'm just saying, and it's one of those things. There's bug bounties on this. It's not like we're saying take it down because
No, don't just come start taking stuff down. Guys.
No.
Come on.
Don't come
I'm
break.
just saying, like, you know.
Don't come break Detroit. We're just fixing it.
Yeah, I've seen people
Bug
comment
bounty.
like, "Oh yeah, you stay in the house all night because you can't go out at night." And I'm like, "No, it's that
The night looks
actually
good.
the best time to come out of the house in Detroit." Me and Moby in Detroit, 3:00 in the morning. We go find a high point, shoot radio, and you never know what your phone doing at 3 a.m.
Yes.
You never know what your phone is doing at 3 a.m. Until you wake up like, update it?
While you were sleeping.
When did it update?
Anyways, let's talk about. So, this is a fun topic. So
Oh, boy.
We've seen Kaseya. We've seen Ninja RMM last week. And
Just last week.
Yeah, last week. And now this week it's Continuum. And each one of these products are the tooling that we use as a managed service provider or IT provider that we provide service to these companies. These tools being used to mass deploy malware. Yeah, because they get owned. And how do they
This
get
is hilarious to me.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. These IT people are supposed to be practicing, proper security hygiene and whatnot. But once again, they didn't have 2FA enabled. Someone gets popped. No names named here. The tooling was used against them. And my blame, just like it is with Ninja or these other companies, is why do you let them not use 2FA? Like I said before, with SolarWinds, so we're doing some co-managed IT work, which means I have to allow other users in my dashboard. Even the users that have like a read-only basic level of access cannot be set up without 2FA. There's no option. They all have to have it. And Microsoft allegedly, and I hope this is true, is going to start forcing 2FA on Office 365 business accounts. Like it's not going to be an option. They apparently at some conference they hinted at it. I don't have the link to that, but it's one of those things. These companies need to enforce it because if you just because people work and claim to be securing things doesn't mean they are securing things. You're going to have to force more of these people into it. So now Continuum is getting their name dirtied in the news when it's not. It's not directly their fault, other than the fact that they allow people to use it without 2FA because they want to make it easy to onboard. Maybe that's SolarWinds. Like they don't like when you sign up for SolarWinds. Yes, they send you a link and they tell you to sign up, but you can't actually start using the product until your 2FA set up. Like it's not an option, and I don't think these
non-optional.
Yeah, and I think that's the way more of these companies need to really get to be because the worst thing is they are really hitting hard on these IT providers. And we think it's because they're reusing passwords. And I've talked to people over at Huntress, and they've done some debriefs. We read their debrief last week. They said they keep seeing the same things. It's not a complicated hack. It's the same kind of sadness of, oh yeah, they
Password spray.
They reuse the password on another site. Like I wish it was some better thing we could tell you, but it's really a weak hack in terms of that. It wasn't technically adept.
This is literally starting to become the responsibility of users to just not use the same password everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about this? If I'm going to make a system that doesn't enforce 2FA, you're getting a new password every 7 days.
Yeah, something.
Every Monday, you got to change your password now.
Yeah.
Or you could just enable this 2FA, and you can keep your password for 6 months now.
It's funny because this is one of the most disappointing things.
Incentivize.
The disappointing things is, it's cool when we did this whole demo with Ali and he's using an NSA hack and it's all complex. And then the real world hackers are like, I took the password dump and then I used it on their thing and then it just worked because they used the same password they had for their Netflix account 2 years ago.
Yes. A fired up Hydra.
Yeah.
Like, what? And then yeah.
Yeah, I have a word list that's been growing steadily since.
He has a word list he can query that has updated passwords in it.
Oh man, when you're using the word list and the
that doesn't work at my house because it uses IP addresses that don't resolve.
But yeah, there's just a lot of sadness in it. So
yeah, it's a lot of that's painful, right? Like as a
But
Yeah, as
they
a
probably
small,
do it
medium
for
business
ease
customer,
of use.
I mean, again, we talked about. So how about this? You heard what he said, right? Ease of use.
I mean, because
This
humans
is
are the
something-
weakest link.
This is something that happens a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm so happy you said this.
Mm-hmm.
Product management. Product management. If you've ever worked in an organization where you've had to deliver software, where you've made a product, not services, product, there are is an entire brand, and then there's products inside of that brand, and inside of those products, inside those brands, there's teams, and those teams all get product managers. And those product managers want features done because they got the VP of sales like, yo, I got a customer that really needs this, and they told me that they're not signing this $7 million 4-year deal until we get this feature. And so, like, now some team is rushing to get this done, moving it through 3 different stages. Yeah. And it takes 2 weeks to get into each stage. And the middle stage is the hardening stage. So that's where they're doing all their testing. So they have to develop tests, right? So I'm not being non-empathetic to the process in which actually happens, where developers somewhere are literally getting pat on the head like, great job. You did a damn good job. Here's a bonus. You get to take 4 weeks vacation. You get to work remote. They're living the culture that they're supposed to be living in according to what their company's objectives are aligned to. The company's objectives are not aligned in a way in which their customer security and privacy are held first. And as consumers, we have to take that power and make it known that, hey, because when I deal with vendors, we do a security assessment on the vendor. I want to know how you're running your environments. I want to know what your stage is like. I want to know how long it takes to get emergencies patched. I want to know, like, do these bugs regress? I want to start to actually talk to you and figure out, am I going to really put you in a mission critical environment where you may affect the availability of my product to my customers? So, I say all of that to say, sometimes it's not just, users being stupid. It's we allow users to make mistakes instead of enforcing best practice because we are supposed to know what's best as practitioners.
Right.
As a doctor, I'm not supposed to just keep giving you painkillers 3 years after you've broken your leg just because it's easy because you come and you complain. No. We're supposed to actually fix the problem at a higher level and guide our users because they're babies.
Yep.
They're babies. They're little babies.
So, to answer a couple questions here, people ask, like, what about the YubiKey and things like that as 2FA? Those are great 2FA devices. And the person who asked about the phone, well, isn't that going to make them target the phone? There's a curve here. So it starts with, we're going to go do, let's say we're the bad guys, we want to do something bad. We're going to check accounts, and the ones we find with 2FA, we just rule them out real quick. As long as there's enough people out there with 2FA turned off, they're going to hit all of them first. But let's pretend we live in a perfect world where 2FA is on. Yeah, the next attack would be to try to get the phone, but
no.
But the challenge level of doing that, you know what I mean?
That's not the next thing that I would do. I'm gonna fish you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hit you with the fishing link.
Well,
because just hear me out, Tom.
Yeah.
Right? By the time you put that, your password into the phishing link, I got the proxy running, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna pass that along to Microsoft. Microsoft's now gonna ask me for some kind of authentication code. Now I'm gonna ask you for your authentication code. I don't want your seed. I don't want your phone. I just want every single time you go log in, whenever I want you to log in, that you give me your token. And then I have a session in which I can change your password if I want, or I could persist in other manners, right? So, like, that's my thing against 2FA.
Well, the other thing they've done, and we've seen this, and there was a great episode a few episodes ago, is it Jeremy and Accounting? Jeremy and Marketing, the Dark Knight Diaries. Mm-hmm. Perfect. My favorite part of that episode is when they're like, well, how are you going to get around that 2FA that she has? He goes, I'm going to call her. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, wait, yeah, that works.
I'm going to be the proxy. I'm going to actually be
in
the middle.
He got her password. He calls her. It's like 7 o'clock. She's home. She reads the number right off her phone to him. He goes, all right, I got it.
There's a bunch of different ways
so
to get this token.
The bar gets raised. It goes a little bit harder. Then you just have to start looking at that. But at least if we get the bar raised, it's these people who are sitting at home won't have these easy pickings.
And even more so, what I like to do is combine. Put the M in multi. You got to call Google. You got to text me and or call me, right? Then you got to get my TOTP token. Then you need my YubiKey.
Yep.
And if I don't got my YubiKey, now you need a code that's only stored in my LastPass, in which you need my YubiKey and my device. Like, you get what I'm saying? So, like, there's all these other factors that are introduced into the process, and it makes it a large pain for me to be able to log into my things. My Facebook is set up this way. My Google is set up this way. Right now, I can't post this link to my Facebook from this computer because I can't put my YubiKey in this USB-C computer.
Yeah.
To get on my Facebook.
But if you're not at least taking those steps, you should. The goal is to try to stay a step ahead. So if you have someone like with a 3-letter agency after you, you have completely different problems, and they have almost unlimited resources. Essentially, their resources are only dependent on their desire for you. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say almost. It all depends on what you're worth to them and how angry you've made someone who has control of a 3-letter agency. So yeah, there's definitely ways, but the bottom line is, I mean, all security is always best effort. Are you making that best effort? These people who didn't have 2FA, they weren't making best effort. Bottom line, they were.
They were not making.
They were not making best
effort. That's safe to say.
That is safe to say.
You know, I would write that in the report. That's a finding.
That's a finding.
Employees did not make best effort.
That is a good finding right there. And so we had a good conversation. So some of the fun conversations is those that came to hang out with us after DC 313, and Anthony he went down. I mean, they have really good operational security. Now they're not a security company; they're a development company. They develop web applications, and he ran down his security policies. They're solid. They're very solid.
Using Federation, using MFA, life cycle of a employee. So he has an onboarding and an offboarding, and he has an awareness program. And he's a startup. Not a startup, but just a small business.
Yeah. He's been around for, I think, 4 or 5 years now.
Right.
So,
he's just grown out of startup.
But here's the important part. Even when it was just him and his buddies started that company a few years back, they had that same concept. They're like
Federation, MFA everywhere.
So now that they've got a whole team of people, I think they got 8 or 9 employees, but all of them have all went through the same process, and they've always tuned the process. They're always reevaluating it, and they have limitations of who can even push the code.
Yeah, humans don't even touch the code.
Humans don't
deploy it.
Yeah, it gets pushed to a server, then it gets validated by another person to make sure the code was valid and audited. Then they can push it to the servers, and there's only it narrows down, so you kind of get this pyramid of authorization until it comes down to 2 people. That way, either person can be off, and the product can still get shipped. There's a solid flow to this, and it was great talking to people like that, going, "Wow, you're doing it right."
Yeah.
As we've dealt with people
he's worked in great enterprises before too, where I'm sure that's helped.
He learned a lot from their mistakes because he admitted that he's worked at places that he goes, they aren't doing any of this. Right. And he those things you get in your head. When I have a company, I'm doing these things, stuff like that. What else we got? This is where the fun begins. This is where the disaster is, and I'm gonna open up a lot of tabs to get this whole. We got to get this in perspective, because this is red all over the place. So we'll start with, and there's just a lot of pieces to this. There's a lot of moving parts here. Bear with us. But all that red, that's bad. The 10, real bad. Real bad. So, anyways.
And never underestimate a 3.
Never underestimate 3.
So all of it's bad. The fact that it's there.
Yeah.
Is bad. But those 9s.
I got to sort this out by
bad.
date. Anyways, where's the published date for all this? So this one's 5/29 to 6.5. Anyways, what this is really about, and we're going to jump all the way here. Urgent 11. So Armis took some time to poke at some code, and they found something really interesting. So VxWorks is this incredibly popular closed source system that hadn't been updated in a few years. But all these companies you've heard of, and this is why the Wikipedia is up. So scale and scope of how big VxWorks is, one, didn't know because I'm more of an open source guy. But VxWorks, by the way, Mars rover has a vulnerability in it. I'm not sure if that's going to get fixed. But it is, the Mars rover uses VxWorks.
Whoops. So the Martians will now be crafting those 6 exploits.
Yes. The SpaceX Dragon, so Elon's got some vulnerable equipment there. Whoops. Boy. Yeah. So, obviously, a lot of automotive things. BMW iDrive systems. Ooh. That's not good. The Clarion Android infotainment systems are all vulnerable. So this is undoubtedly when they have this whole Hack Village set up, and if they have a Clarion infotainment system there,
This will be
this will be one of the edges you can get in. Apple Airport Machine, Drobo Storage, the Honda Robot Osmo uses it. But the real big name that's going to really ring some bells, besides, lots of phone systems, but companies you might have heard of. One, Avaya Phone Systems. Huge, and no one's running around updating firmware and phone systems because phone systems are like a zero downtime thing. No one's running around doing that.
Right.
Cisco CSS, Cisco ONS platform, and the big one is everything SonicWall has ever done is built on this.
Whoops.
So SonicWall, even as I understood it, is releasing out of support products going, here's a firmware patch, hurry up and patch this. And that's where we're going to see, because that's at the edge of the networks. A lot of this other stuff's inside networks. And the Mars rover, by the way, the bandwidth of the Mars rover is really slow, so it's a really slow hack if someone figures it out.
Yeah.
And don't mess with the Mars rover.
Well, I don't know, dude. We got Russians in space.
Yeah.
You know, it could be an onboard.
Could be.
Yeah.
Be onboard attempt.
Onboard attempt. But don't mess with Mars rover. I like Discovery, or it's called that, right? It's the Mars rover. Either way, I like the Mars rover. Don't break it.
Don't break it, please.
don't hack it. CTC by
So I
state
sorted based on CVE number, which has the year associated with it. And it looks like this one has a CVSS of 6.8, which is still pretty bad. So the idea is that it's a, like if they have RPC, which, oh my God, so much stuff has RPC enabled. If it hasn't enabled, basically you can trigger a buffer overflow just by passing some packets to it. So this is the fun stuff that hackers love to do, right? Oh, I get to write my custom exploit code that, does my little ROP chaining, and I can actually execute code that's not supposed to be there just due to the way that the system accepts my input, right? That's the top thing that everybody gets scared of from the OSCP is exploit development, where it's like, I love it. But this, my friend, is going to be a bunch of proof of concepts developed, because it's not a 9 point something, right? It's almost a 7, so it's right in that little medium space where people are going to be tinkering with it, and I think that this will be weaponized and chained. This will be one of those things. This
is where it gets bad. So as an example of the scenario, consider how such an attack can take over a SonicWall firewall, which runs the impacted VxWorks OS. According to Shodan, there are 808,000 SonicWalls. Sounds about right. I'm going to say there's more than that. Representing a similar number of networks these devices defend. Urgent 11 and internet connection, an attacker can launch direct attack with a specifically crafted TCP packet. Now, I'm actually confused by the low vulnerability because I've been reading through this. They can send one packet and it can start owning the firewall. Like it doesn't take much. So how it has a low CVE score?
Because of the complexity. You have to think about the complexity too. Nowadays, being able to go to a web server, do a get to something, and being able to get data off of it, that's a 9, right? So like the fact that you actually have to craft the exploit for it is what makes it. There's no known public exploits for it.
No.
Either. So I think once the complexity comes down, the CVSS score will actually go up. At least that's what I'm thinking.
But these will allow complete access to these firewalls from the WAN, not the LAN, from the WAN side, because it's in the flaw lies within the TCP stack itself.
Do we have any of these laying around?
SonicWalls?
Yeah.
One over there I found.
Can I play with it?
Probably.
I'm taking it home. You heard
I gotta wait to confirm with the customer, but yes, I'll get it for you.
Listen, we'll bring it back if the customer wants it.
Yeah. Well, you're going to DEF CON, so we'll get it for you after you get back.
We have to have it for DEF CON.
Don't worry.
I got one of those cool SonicWall things.
There's SonicWalls all over the place. So it's really interesting, scale and scope. The SonicWall is the one particular one that I think is going to be the most interesting because there's so many of them out there.
And this is when Sonic hits the spikes.
Yeah, and with 800, like I said, 808,000 that were identifiable by Shodan. That's just what Shodan found. That's not exactly the count.
That's not the real count.
Yeah, that's not the real count. There's always more. If Shodan says there's 500,000, there's at least 500,000 is the way that should be worded. 500,000 that we had the time to index and put a list.
Right.
808,000 that we had time to index. So this is one of the reasons I made it our little thumbnail was this, but it's just nuts. And once you're in the network, you're talking about Avaya VoIP systems. Avaya is huge. I mean, if you are in the enterprise market, you're going to see a lot of these phone systems. And Avaya, if I'm not mistaken, branded under a couple different names, but so there's going to be a lot of them out there. Commercial, Kyocera, Ricoh, Samsung, all massive amounts of printers. Xerox printers, maybe you heard of the company. Like all the major printer brands all base their system on this. So these devices, which are constantly connected to every network because everyone wants to print to the big corporate copier, these are going to be edge points. They're powerful machines. They're going to be where the beachheads are established.
I mean, but Schneider Electric PLCs, right? That's how the beer gets brewed.
Yeah,
that's how the
that's
bread
actually
gets
true.
made. That's how the cereal gets produced.
Oh.
Who wants to be poisoned slowly through something, their favorite brand, right? Like, come on. Just imagine if the hot sauce was killing you, Tom.
So here's the fun part too, and this is why Urgent 11. I mean, I want to highlight because I don't think enough people were highlighting who did the research. These guys got proof of concept for how to take over a patient monitoring
God.
system. They're proof of concept for how to demo a takeover firewall. They're proof of concept for how to take over a printer. Like these guys did some good, solid.
Safe to say that they're going to be speaking somewhere soon.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
I can't wait to hear more about this.
This is some real solid research. So
Because this is the kind of stuff that like me and Mo just goes out and does. We just go out and find random stuff and be like, wow, this is bad.
Yeah.
So like the fact that these dudes did that, but then they actually were able to do these demos and make it kind of they got such a marketing kind of understanding around this. I like it. I like the way that disclosure is happening. If this is the new disclosure moving forward, I really, really like this.
This is
like
clean.
press-
This is solid
This is
research.
beautiful. Yeah.
You know, everything's completely.
Concise.
Yeah, this is good security research.
I'm impressed.
The Armis Group did a great job here on this, so hats off to them for
Hats off.
this. And it's got a cool name. You
Version
can't
11.
have. You can't have a vulnerability without a cool name.
Right.
You know, it's part of the marketing when you have this disclosure. You gotta have a cool name, Heartbleed, the Poodle Bug, or whatever you want to. Dirty Cow.
Dirty cow.
And it's called Urgent 11 because these are 11. So you can threat stack this. Like, that's what they have down here at the bottom,
Urgent
different methodology.
11.
Yeah, so urgent pointer 0 leads to the integer underflow, CVE there, which affects VxWorks 6.5 to 693. TCP point urgent pointer state confusion caused by malformed TCP/AO option, which affects CWorks 694 and above. So here's the thing: you start enumerating your guests, your list of targets. I don't know why I say guests. You can enumerate your guests. It's a party.
Go for it.
They're all your guests. Anyways,
Be nice.
you enumerate them. You start finding out. You're like, all right, the sonic wall of this version is what it returned. This is running version 6.5. This one's running 6.9.4. So now you can even tailor this. And this is what people are going to put into scripts. It's going to query, find, or just try both.
Right.
If this one fails,
Try the other one.
Try the other one. We'll just load them all up in here. We either get an underflow or we can have denial of service by null deference and IGBM parsing. Ooh, that's interesting. This vulnerability is a denial of service vulnerability that expects VxWorks 6.5 and above. So blanket, you can just send this. So if they're running any type of IGBMP on here in the network stack, so yeah, that's
You get ruined quick.
and denial of
I
service.
mean, like, what do? You got to unplug it and you got to reboot it?
Probably.
And then what if this is just a persistent attack that's just aimed at you? Bloop. Oh, it's back.
Oh, that's gonna
It's
be.
back. Bloop. Oh,
Yeah.
it's back.
And that's one
You
of
don't
those,
even need a distributed denial of service. You can have one host.
One
that's
host.
just making your life hell.
and just pops that one
Through
packet.
Tor or something.
It hits the packet and goes, well, I'm done for
Done.
the day.
I quit.
Someone's got to reboot me.
Plug me back in.
So this was the big topic that that's a mess. That's a mess right there. And once again, all these companies using it, this is how the development process. We talked about supply chain check, where we talked about the Python script and
Right.
how someone done it. But because it was all open source, eyes on it, caught it, stopped it. It did
Quick.
not turn in. It turned into a good story, and it did not turn into how half the world got pwned and how 808,000 routers
The
got.
next WannaCry.
Yeah.
Was it Marcus? Oh, we have to talk about Marcus Hutchins.
Yes.
He got sentenced, guys,
Sentenced.
to time served.
And the judge, the statement from the judge, the good Marcus has done since his long time ago doing this, the far outweighs the bad. We don't think his intentions were ill. He was young. He did this. We acknowledge it, so we're going to sentence him to time served. Now, the only question
This
is
is a good example.
of actual good policy.
This is a good example.
This is where the justice system in the U.S., for all of its flaws, and no system is perfect. We're always working towards system. But this is why it's based on intent, why it's based on precedence, and why things are taken into consideration. Because we know we did something wrong. everything comes down to, you can even say, you could start with something real easy. Go, is it wrong to kill someone? Yeah, but what if that person was trying to kill you? Oh, we just got fuzzy.
In
real
Canada,
quick.
it's still wrong.
Yeah, say, well, you know, they just say sorry, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
They take you to prison even if you defend yourself.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. It's an American thing.
It's an American thing.
And Mexican, apparently.
Probably.
There you go.
Yeah. So they took into account his current life versus his previous young age of writing malware, that he wrote malware but was not with the direct intention of using it to defraud people. So now you have a gray area that was created, and I think we had some overzealous people, but that started with the prosecution. We see that a lot in the hacking community. But all in all, I think it's a good outcome. The downside is that I don't know where the answer lies in this, and I don't think Mark knows. Once you are a felon, whether or not you may be readmitted to the U.S.
No, he has to get it expunged. He has to get a pardon.
Yeah. So he's gonna. Well, it's
Convicted.
He's convicted,
Yeah.
but will he be able to get that waived? Because once again, they take that into consideration. It's not but default answer is no, he can't come in. But there are methodologies he can. So will he be speaking at DEF CON next year?
I would wait until another administration comes in that's not so informed around this type of stuff and is gung-ho on closing the borders as tight as possible. So, I think with those two things, he may just want to go enjoy the UK for a while. Enjoy being home. Go hug your mom, bro. You almost...
I mean, he's going to have to at least give it 5
Listen,
to 7
he
years.
did bad stuff. And he admitted to the bad stuff he did. So he's lucky. Let's be honest, right? He's lucky. If all of a sudden, everybody who did something bad was getting prosecuted, there'd be a lot of people that would be feeling exactly how he felt. Just being honest.
True.
The dude got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it, though. I love luck.
It doesn't
That's
have
a damn
it doesn't
good
have a
story.
horrible outcome.
Nope.
Postmark.
Postmark.
What do we know about Postmark? Besides the important security notice? Oh, Poshmark. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Poshmark?
I read it
Oh.
as Postmark.
No worry.
I read this wrong. Sorry. Did you drop, who dropped this in
I
the show
dropped
notes?
this in there.
Okay.
Just because it's a popular site that a lot of people go, and they need to be informed that it's been breached.
Has
Oops.
it? Oh, boy.
Yes, I would definitely be looking for this breach to add to my word list.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
What
Is
do
it-
people? So
what
what
did-
are
what did
the
they-
passwords used by the people who use Poshmark, and where else did they use them?
This
Probably
is brand new
everywhere.
news, huh?
This is August. We are bringing you the latest and greatest news.
I hadn't heard about this one. I didn't even know Poshmark got popped. Sheesh, I'm under the rock.
Yeah, Poshmark got popped. The posh
See,
life.
they even put it on their own website. They have to let everyone know.
Listen,
That hurts. That hurts. But this is what we said. Password spraying works. Why does it work? Because people probably use this. So
Well, it looks like they got good password security. It looks like Poshmark actually had good password security.
they were using bcrypt. They hashing algorithm and scrambled it.
Independently salted passwords per user.
Ooh,
They
really?
have uniquely good password hygiene. Okay,
And
But
and they're just still recommending that you change your password.
so. I guess the question is,
But they do got all that social media information though
yeah.
that was collected.
So they have all your links on there. It doesn't really have much information exactly how the breach happened.
Not yet.
So
They just have to notify you, and it probably happened 30 to 60 days ago.
yeah, I'm hoping they do a debrief on this.
You know how the game go.
Yeah, so your email preferences, blah, 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 were taken. Now, the nice thing is, if you're not familiar with how bcrypt and hashing works, with them being hashed, they may have gotten it. They may not be able to reverse the passwords out. So they've somehow breached the database. But if they were properly doing everything and didn't have your password stored, there's much less risk involved, which is great. So,
Hi, Jesse.
If any of you
Jesse
have
tuned
run
in.
into bcrypt out in the wild, forget about it.
Forget
Forget
about
about it.
For now.
That thing is going to tell you 365 days until its word list is done.
For now.
yeah,
Forget about it.
it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
A newly discovered hacking group is targeting energy and telecom companies.
Yeah, but is this a new group discovered, or is this the same old group that's been on three different fucking names?
Yeah, that's true, too.
They've just been killing the fucking telecom and gas. I don't even want to, if DTE hit me up and was like, yo, you want to come do blue team work for us? I would be like, no. You guys just get punched every day.
Yeah.
No, I want to come do red team work because you guys got all the attack surface area. Smart meters. I don't know, employees.
Large attack surface.
Sheesh. What we got going on with these people?
So Drago said Hexane was the latest list of 9 hacking groups in its tracks, observed to be targeting telecom companies, potentially stepping stone to gain access to the networks of oil and gas companies.
Hexane, I like that name.
It's got a cool name.
So it's all going through cellular, huh? Who was just saying this? Who was just saying this? Before it even happened, I was just talking about how cellular there's such a trust boundary there.
Yes.
For cellular.
Yeah.
Just unfortunately, because it's it's interesting. Yeah, it looks like similar behaviors to oil rig. So Hexane and oil rig are potentially the same person or group.
Yeah, that's
Because I'm telling you, oil rig was they were getting busy. I saw the debriefs about it.
Yeah.
They could just have campaigns that are seasonal.
Well,
I don't
just going
because this
after-
is nation state. This isn't like this could be Iran or something. Like this isn't something that me or you have interest in. Why do we want to go after oil and gas? What do I get from that? I'm not going to get cheaper gas from the gas station. I'm not like a world power where I need to have that level of control. Just being real about it, right?
I mean, it could be the next guys trying to make a name for themselves.
With oil and gas.
I mean, just this is the Gibson virus. You have.
I'll put you like this.
This
What-
is the Da Vinci virus. You have 72 hours
I
until we
mean,
capsize.
that was the
oil
insider.
tankers.
That was the
You know what I'm
insider.
saying? That's why people just want to capsize the tankers.
You might be right, but that shit is terrible because at the end of the day, like, if you're just an individual, you have nothing to gain from this. Nothing. Just the disruption gains nothing for you.
At all. But
I
disruption.
mean,
Some people. That's why I tell you. Some people like anarchy, and I'm
People
like,
just
no.
want-
There
Disruption.
are
people like
anarchists.
to
They
deface.
just
I'm
want
like,
to deface.
no.
Yeah,
wanna get
and
those
well,
deep faces
and
up?
you know, the whole reason we know as much about the whole Paige Thomas thing is that's anarchy. They wanted to get caught. They had that I can tell, no intention of doing anything other than proving they can do it. But they stored the Capital One data on the same place as their resume. So trust me, like they had in their GitLab their resume and the Capital One data. So like.
Operational security minus 100.
Yeah, like there's no concept, and that's just someone who wants chaos. As a matter of fact, you know,
She got to know.
she got it now.
Oh,
And any of the people who are unarchived, all the Twitter or any of the stuff, full of chaos. This person has some other personal issues they probably need to deal
I'm
with.
pretty sure her name was chaotic, right? Or was it
erratic?
erratic?
Which
Well,
that's
the
same.
family.
Adjective.
Yeah.
Same family.
So some people are like that. That's a different type. So you got there's so much variety. You got people who just want to poke at it to see if they can.
Man.
You got people just want to tinker with things. You got people
Some
who just
people
want.
to watch the world burn.
There's
Your turn.
definitely those people.
I mean, you got those people that just it's the power, bro. I'm in the 400-pound hacker in the basement.
Oh, and
with the
nothing.
press of a button, I can.
And
make
nothing makes some of them people happier than when they're blaming a nation state on something, and you got some 6-year-old kid snickering, going,
Exactly.
I've been in Apple for 2 years and I'm 12.
Yeah, I mean,
saved it on my home folder.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's why I put that. On.
yeah, you could have deleted my balance IO in Capital One if they want some anarchy.
Listen,
They never do.
Yeah, no one ever wants to delete the debt. What is that about?
I don't know.
I think because debt they got so many copies of it. It's
Oh,
like
man.
Prism. They're never gonna lose that debt.
What's that movie that a guy runs around burning all the bank debt? Old movie from the 80s.
I wish I could watch it. I never heard of it.
Oh, what is
I
that?
don't know. I know that was a plot for.
Shout out to Dual Core, because that's where that lyric is from. That Josh Gade popped up there. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
That was the whole premise of.
1986. Wisdom.
Wisdom.
That might be the movie.
There you go. Movie of the week.
That's why I brought it up, because we reached the end of all their stuff. But
Movie of the week. Fresh off the press. Wisdom.
boy, I mean, I have no idea if it holds up. We'll pull it out here. Because, boy, he hasn't been in a movie in a while. Emilio Estevez was the writer and director. He's a kid in this. Like, he's young. So, you had Demi Moore, Emilio Estevez, 1986, so forever ago. What is the rating on this movie? Man, this is old. 5.7. So it must hold up somewhat because. But they run on. Him and his girlfriend Amelia would run on a bank spree. Now this is obviously long before digital records. This is 1986, and they basically go around burning everyone's banknote, so the bank has no tracking of whose mortgages and everything like that. Because it's in a depression, people are getting their farms closed in on. They're like, you know what? And they take a little bit of money for themselves to keep their thing going. They throw the money around to the people so they can have it, and they burn all the mortgages. So they get cooperation from. They're like, "We're here." They're like, "We know who you are. Go ahead, burn this." The bank people are like, "Don't burn it." And so and the movie's got a lot of twists to it, especially the ending.
So like they become like the Robin Hood.
Everyone's like, "You're here to destroy my bank mortgage? I was just here arguing because they want to take my farm. Please." Burn this piece of paper.
This is definitely the movie of the week. I'm watching this.
I'm about to go watch that.
And the twist at the ending. That won't spoil it for you, but it's a movie with a plot twist.
Oh no!
So it's interesting. I haven't seen it in forever.
He's gonna go deep into debt. He's gonna be pain on it forever.
So there's the movie recommendation for anyone. I don't know if it's as good as I remember it. I always say that because sometimes I watch old movies and I'm like, oh man, this wasn't as good as I thought. It's like a legend in my mind. I've talked it up too good. Yeah, Mr. Robot plot. Actually, the Mr. Robot plot is very similar to the Wisdom plot. There's a very similar. I think there's probably a few movies. I don't even know if that's the original one, but it's an interesting concept when you have a lot of people holding someone's debt, and if there's a methodology by which you could destroy and create chaos from that. I like in Mr. Robot because it goes. If you haven't followed the series, which by the way, the final season's here. Have you watched Mr. Robot?
I haven't watched the final season.
Is this year?
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the final season.
Yeah, it's not out yet.
Up to I've kept up to this point. Yeah.
I like that they showed Mr. Robot.
Yeah, he's like intensely nuts.
But you think about this, it sounds good on paper. We're all smiling, going, "Yeah, burn the debt." But then Mr. Robot says, "Okay, we made another season after the debt got burned." You're like, "Oh,
right."
It looks a little chaotic. The garbage men aren't picking up the garbage.
Right.
Like the things that, like the functional things that happen are kind of
the rich people
happening.
are still rich somehow.
Yeah,
and there's it's even worse now because the 1% is just rich, and the rest of the 99%
they can still afford garbage men, but we can't afford garbage men.
It's going to be The Walking Dead, but without the zombies. It's going to be...
It's just a bunch of poor people walking around. We're all broke. So it doesn't go though. But I like the fact that they wrote it that way. What they're going in, I think it's a realistic portrayal. I mean, Bill Gates, he's like, "You guys screw up that money system. I'm so good. I have a house that's part of the side of a mountain. I have a private security force. I'm okay if you guys break it all. It's gonna not be bad for me."
Doctor. I mean, he and that boy like, no.
I think that's how most of the uber rich feel. They like, hey, if you guys mess that up.
And if you aren't certain about that, go watch that show about that bunkers where those guys are planning, and there's these uber rich people. Like they've already got 10 years of supplies, underground cities set up. They're ready for us to break the system, and they have somewhere to go that we're not allowed to go.
What was the one movie where like all the rich and wealthy people lived like up in the sky?
Oh yeah.
And then when you get poor or do something bad, they send you down to actual Earth.
Yeah. Matt Damon's in it. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
I remember the name. Elysium, is it?
I think it is Elysium.
Okay.
There you go.
Why it gotta be like that?
I mean, that's hey,
the only Elysium I recognize is the one that was on Congress. Shout out to the Elysium.
So Team Rampage says, awesome movie. It starts out with him in a bath. Yes, it does, and it's all part of the plot. I
gotta watch it.
That's a detail to remember when you start watching a movie. It matters. That's all I'll say. I ain't spoil nothing.
I think we got one last.
We got one more? What do we got?
It's outside of the U.S., but it still affects everyone. The leak is a leak.
Oh, boy.
And it goes pretty
baby.
This one.
Yep. 14 million Chilean citizens.
Ooh.
Data leak exposed.
Oh, did we cover last week the guy, the red teamer turned black hat? We didn't cover that.
Whoa.
Bulgaria.
Oh, no.
We'll talk about this and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, once again, out of country, so it may not have made the major news, but it's a red teamer turned wrong. Anyways, let's. This is interesting. So, WiseCase discovered a database link that contains identifiable information for 14 million Chilean citizens, age 17 plus. The 3 gig database was hosted by Software Technologies in Dallas, but they are not responsible for the leak. Oh, that's good. Good. They got their name in dirty. So, how did this person find the leak? So, identified the owners of the database. Story remains unclear. Oh, even more interesting. Who's affected, but we're not sure who did it. How did it happen? The leak occurred due to an unsecured Elasticsearch server. This happens a lot. So Elasticsearch, Elk Stack, all of that's wonderful visualization tools, but it always seems, one, it's difficult to set up, which it's also difficult to secure, and people are often running this because when you talk about that volume, 17 million pieces of data, it takes a powerful system that you may not have in-house, so then you stick it in the cloud, and you still didn't you didn't RTFM, you didn't read how to secure it, you're still working on trying to figure out how to get the Node.js. Doesn't it run on Node.js?
Oh, I
what is
don't know
it?
Exactly what it's running.
It runs on a lot. It's a lot setting up. No, what does it run?
It's Logstash.
Logstash. I don't know. I've set it up before and it was a lot of work. That's all I know. I was like, this is some work.
I've never set it up. I'll be honest, and this is the DevOps guy here. I've literally only gone to DigitalOcean and got the damn Elk Stack one-click droplet.
Yes.
I've never even stood it up. I don't even think I've ever even SSH'd in. I don't think I had to.
Oh, I tried. I spent some time on it. I remember getting mad. It was a long time ago, and then I found out the one drop thing. Like I'm so happy. It was a few years ago when I started playing with it, and
a lot of the honeypots come with the Elk Stack already.
Oh, it is. I love it when it works. Matter of fact, like Security Onion, I love all that.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. It works great. Security Onion. You know, it doesn't work great. I'm trying to build that from scratch. Well, I'm not good at it. Not my thing. Anyways, so what happens is people don't configure.
People aren't good at it, and then they get pwned. Right? If he's telling you he's not good at it, and I'm telling you I'm not good at it, and I could stand up just about anything, botnet panels, anything, right? He can stand up literally anything. Man. So like this is it's a feat. What I would do is I would go get a Elk Stack, like a Docker container, just stand that up. And then lock down my container environment entirely.
Yep. Now I got to find our Bulgarian hacker. Where did this go?
Boy.
This is the last story, but it's definitely
Bulgarian.
Oh man, what a mess!
Not the Bulgarian.
What
good come from Bulgaria? Chocolate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good chocolates.
Bulgaria hacking suspect worked on government cybersecurity before tax agency breach. So this person was a cybersecurity engineer, and some of the details aren't super clear, but they were a cybersecurity engineer, and they were a red teamer, and they found vulnerabilities, and then used that knowledge they had to twist against them. So you gotta be careful who you hire.
Fucking do that.
Yeah.
You make it hard for the rest of us when you do that.
And it does. It makes people go, well, I hired the team, and now but the company that hired them fired that employee, so there's also more to it.
Even worse. You're really making it hard for us.
Right.
Because, I go to work on Monday. Oh, well, I'm not going to work on Monday. I'm going to DEF CON. But let's say I do go to work. Let's say on Monday I don't go to work. I'm at DEF CON. I get fired while I'm at DEF CON. So I'm pissed off, drunk, hanging out with everybody. Do I just fire the low orbit ion canner at all of the endpoints that I know of?
Yeah,
no,
so
why? Don't be this way, guy.
So and they said this guy, and it's really interesting. They said he has a very unique brain. I thought it was a weird way to word that, and is above world level intellect. According to media pool, investigators determined KB was responsible because of a forensic data and national review agency, which included a computer configuration, unique name, date, time, and software applications to use the access, tying the 20-year-old to the breach. He now faces up to 8 years in prison for this. So it's interesting. He had all the breach data. Yeah. In a Bulgarian prison. I don't know if they're good or bad, but prison's bad. I don't know.
It's feeding you chocolate and making you make watches all day.
And one thing I just got to touch on, it just came across my desk.
What you got? Another ransomware?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's just funny. It's the name.
No more ransomwares. Oh, we off ransomware.
I'm
about to get a T-shirt that says we off ransomware.
German wiper ransomware?
Not the German wiper.
German wiper. It's Germany hard. Destroys files and asks for ransom.
Of course.
German wiper.
Not the German wiper.
So my daughter speaks some German, and I'm trying to learn it. It's cool the way they mash words together. They just keep making words. That's why German words are so long. It's like, so I have a feeling it interprets as something different in German, which is going to be funnier. I'll have to look that up later. Disrupted via mail spam? Cool.
Yep,
emails.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just like that name, German wiper.
I mean,
specifically targeting.
These emails claim to be job applications from a person named Lena. Attached zip files contains a link.
I've been telling people about this for so long, dog. Like, I'm about to go to jail. I'm getting indicted, dog. Because I keep telling people publicly. I might even said it on this show. I'll have to go back and review. Because I get frustrated with recruiters. And I'm like, you know what? I should just, like, send you a malicious, updated document because you're going to open it. And I'm going to own you and get everybody information.
Yeah.
But I don't because I like to have my life. I can't do 5 years in jail, 7 years in jail. I just can't. I like to eat hot Cheetos, play with video games, do how they got hacked. But I've been doing this threat model, and I'll be honest, right? Like, somebody sends you a zip attachment, don't click it. I got an email that said that my Hide My Ass account was needing to be paid. And it was a Hide My Ass account I had on a completely different email. And I hadn't had Hide My Ass in over 4 years.
So there is one good thing if you go to a U.S. prison. I got to bring this up.
Nothing good about prison.
No, you're good. I learned this from my friend who spent some time, and I didn't know about this.
Oh, those one chips.
Those chips. So in the prison commissary,
going to jail for no chips.
I was told, like, once they get out, they get used to these chips. And there's something about these chips that are so good that people smuggle them out of jail.
There have been documentaries about these chips. Like, these chips, if you can find them on eBay, they are expensive.
They're expensive. We're going to show you what prison chips go for on eBay. Yeah.
Because this is a prison exclusive flavor. That's why.
If you don't get the fuck out of here.
It's a prison exclusive flavor. You can only get that flavor.
This shit's a $10 bag of chips.
It's a $10 bag of chips because they've been smuggled out of prisons and stuff.
$10 bag. Do not disrespect those potatoes like that. That can make so many cook-up meals.
Oh, you saying what it could be used for inside?
What? You can make a cake out of those.
I'm sick. You can die off these damn chips. Somebody gonna stab you.
You can make a delicious taco salad out of those. You can make.
It's the weirdest thing you never heard of, and I had no idea. I'm staring at this person like, there's no way. I had another friend that was a prison guard. He's had some of the best stories. He learned a lot being a prison guard.
I'm sick. They out here with the prison chips. Is that it, guys?
That's it.
Are we there?
We're there. We're over an hour today. We're over an hour.
Prison chips.
Prison
chips. Movies.
Wisdom.
Button pressing.
Button pressing. Oh yeah. Press that button. Middle one?